Moments ago, we're just now learning that the ICC, the International Criminal Court, has issued an arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin and another Russian official. Both are at the center of an alleged scheme to forcibly deport thousands of Ukrainian children to Russia. This is a topic that we've been talking about so much on this show. Let me get back to Ivan Watson. He's back in here. He's joining me now with more on this. Ivan, what are you hearing about this?
Well, I mean, the headline here is that the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. They've also issued an arrest warrant for a second Russian official that I don't think people will recognize her name. Her name is Maria Lvova-Belova, and she is the Commissioner for Children's Rights in the office of the President of the Russian Federation. In this statement, the ICC is basically accusing the two of them of being complicit in the alleged abduction of Ukrainian children from territory in Ukraine occupied by the Russian military and taking them to Russian territory. Now, Russia has been very public about saying that it has taken Ukrainian children to Russia, has basically played up the adoption of some of these children and basically claiming that they're rescuing these kids. The ICC clearly views this very differently, saying that this is illegal what it's doing, and has taken, I think, a very precedent-breaking step of, again, issuing an arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin himself, against one of his top officials, accusing them of kidnapping Ukrainian children, basically since the start of the Russian invasion of Ukraine last year.
And, you know, Ivan, I had the former ambassador at large for war crimes issues, Stephen Rapp, on earlier this week. And this is one of the issues that we were talking about. And he said he was just in Lviv speaking to a child who was able to be returned from Russia only because their family member went to extreme lengths in order to try to find them after they say that this allegedly happened to this child. And the thing is, it's pretty hard right now to even know the scope of how many children have been taken, kidnapped, abducted, and taken to Russia. The United States has put the number at saying at least 6,000, but I have heard Ukrainian officials put it at north of 16,000.
Yeah, and it just, this is part of the terrible and bloody fog of war. I mean, you have entire cities that had populations of hundreds of thousands of people that have been smashed, reduced to rubble, children orphaned, and probably bodies that have yet to be found of some of the civilian casualties as a result of this catastrophic invasion. So one of the remarkable, I don't know, one of the things that's going on behind the scenes as the two armies are killing each other on the front lines day after day is that you have prosecutors, you have investigators on the ground also gathering information as the battles are taking place, trying to build cases basically against the Russian military of alleged war crimes on the ground here. The alleged abduction of thousands of Ukrainian children, that is but one piece of this. It is the one that the ICC has focused on the most. So I would guess that they see that there is a cut and dry kind of international law that is being broken here with the movement of juveniles, of minors across international borders without the permission of the parents. I can also already anticipate some of the response that will be coming from the Kremlin. They will most likely deny that the ICC has any jurisdiction whatsoever over the Russian government, over Vladimir Putin. And it's not just them. I mean, I can recall that the Trump administration publicly saying the ICC has no jurisdiction over the U.S. government. So it's a powerful statement. It's a bold statement, the issuing of this arrest warrant, but it will likely have little effect whatsoever on the day-to-day behavior and policies of Putin himself. It is, though, a strong message to Russia and to the Russian military that people are watching its behavior on the ground here. This is just one case, one very high-profile case that has just been announced. I was just yesterday meeting with a Ukrainian police officer here in charge of hundreds of investigators, and he says most of their work right now is to gather information about alleged Russian war crimes on the ground here. You're hearing air raid sirens over my shoulder. Every time the Russian military fires rockets, cruise missiles, artillery at Ukrainian towns and cities, investigators come in soon after to document that and to prepare cases against the Russian military for alleged war crimes. Kate?
Ivan, stick with me if you could, because David Mackenzie's in Kyiv. He's joining us now with some more perspective. And David, what more can you tell us about this very issue? Ivan laid it out so well, but the abduction, deportation of children out of Ukraine. I've heard reports of some as young as 4 months old.
Well, it's certainly an extremely significant moment, that a sitting head of state, particularly Vladimir Putin, whose country is on the Permanent Security Council, being issued an arrest warrant by the International Criminal Court. It is very rare for a head of state to face this kind of warrant. And even if, as Ivan says, in the short term it is symbolic, it is hugely symbolic. And this case deals with the thousands of children alleged to have been taken from their parents or coerced from their parents, taken from Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine into what the researchers and the ICC has called re-education camps. Now, we've spoken to children and parents just a few weeks ago. We told the story of parents going into Crimea and rescuing their children from these kind of re-education camps. At the most serious, allegation talks about the orphans that were taken from state facilities and into Russia, given to Russian parents. Now, while Vladimir Putin and the head of his group that is involved with children's rights have been named in this arrest warrant, they will say, and they have repeatedly said, this is an issue of them protecting the children, something that really doesn't fly with the facts. When you look at these children going to these camps and being taught in Russian, being forced to sing the Russian national anthem, separated there from their parents forcibly, those parents often and still are separated from those children. So a very important symbolic moment, just one case of many that has been looked at to accuse Russian officials, the president and their military men of war crimes.